The Krell's fatal mistake. Admiral Vexfor of the Krell Imperial Navy stood on the command bridge of the Worldbreaker, his crimson scales gleaming under the ship's battle lights. Before him, suspended in the holographic display, floated a pathetic little world Sanctuary 7, an agricultural colony at the edge of known space. 20,000 souls lived there, growing crops and tending livestock, blissfully unaware that their existence violated Krell territorial claims. All batteries report ready. Admiral, his weapons officer announced. Mandibles clicking with anticipation, Vexfor allowed himself a predatory smile. In his 3 centuries of service, he had subjugated 47 worlds. This would be 48. The colonists had ignored 3 warnings to evacuate. Now they would learn why the Krell Empire had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Open a channel, he commanded. The view screen flickered, revealing a human woman-weathered face, gray hair, eyes that held no fear. Mayor Linda Torres of Sanctuary 7, this is your final warning. Vexfor began, his translator rendering his words into the human language. You occupy Krell territory. Surrender immediately, or we will cleanse this world with nuclear fire. You have 1 of your hours to evacuate. The mayor's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Admiral, I need to tell you something important. 300 years ago, the galaxy thought humanity died in the Great Burning. The history books say the Krell and the Vox Star Alliance glassed our core worlds, that Earth herself burned, that humanity was extinct. Yes, Vexfor interrupted impatiently. A regrettable necessity. Your species was expansionist and dangerous. The galaxy's better for your absence. That's what I need to tell you, Admiral. The mayor's voice was eerily calm. We didn't die. We ran. We hid. And for 300 years, we've been building, preparing, waiting for species like yours to grow comfortable in your dominance. Vexfor's scales rippled with amusement. You expect me to believe that? Humanity is extinct. These colonists are merely descendants of primitive survivors, who space itself screamed. Alarms erupted across the bridge. The holographic display exploded with warnings. Sensor officers shouted in confusion. The Worldbreaker shuddered as massive gravitational distortions rippled through local space. Report. Vexfor roared. Sir, we're detecting spatial fold signatures. Massive ones. 12. No, 50. 100. Admiral, sensors are reading over 200 distinct fold space emergence points. The view screen automatically shifted from the mayor's calm face to the space surrounding Sanctuary 7. Vexfor felt his blood freeze in his veins. Ships were appearing. Not the crude vessels of scattered human survivors, but warships sleek, black, massive beyond anything the Krell had built. Each one was a void in space, absorbing light rather than reflecting it, bristling with weapons that sensor analysis couldn't even classify. They emerged from fold space like predators from darkness, completely silent, perfectly positioned in a sphere around the Krell fleet dot and at the center, dwarfing everything else. Materialized a dreadnought that made the Worldbreaker look like a child's toy. Identification? Vexfor whispered. No registry in any database, sir. But we're receiving a transmission. Audio and visual. It's coming from that massive ship. On screen, the image resolved into a human woman in her 50s, wearing a midnight black uniform with no ornaments except 5 silver stars on her collar. Her dark eyes held the weight of centuries. Behind her, Vexfor could see a bridge that made Krell technology look primitive holographic displays, showing tactical data in languages his translator couldn't parse. Crew members working at stations that seemed to respond to thought rather than touch. I am Admiral Sarah Shun of the United Earth Space Service, the woman said, her voice carrying the absolute authority of someone accustomed to commanding overwhelming force. You are currently surrounded by the 3rd Expeditionary Fleet, 207 warships. You have entered the sanctuary system, a sovereign human territory with hostile intent. You have threatened 20,000 human lives. Dexfer found his voice. Impossible. Humanity is extinct. Earth burned 300 years ago. Is that what your historians told you? Chun's expression didn't change. Let me correct the record, Admiral. Yes, you attacked our core worlds. Yes, you destroyed our colonies. Yes, you thought you killed us all. But humanity had a contingency plan. Before your fleets arrived, we evacuated 3 billion people to hidden systems beyond charted space. We took our scientists, our engineers, our best military minds. We took our industrial base, our shipyards, our weapons research. She leaned forward, and Dexfer saw something terrible in her eyes, the cold calculation of someone who had spent a lifetime preparing for this moment. For 300 years, Admiral, while you and your empire grew fat and complacent, we survived in the dark between stars. We built new worlds. We developed technologies you can't imagine. We created warships specifically designed to fight species like the Krell. Every tactical lesson from your genocide was studied, analyzed, incorporated into our doctrine. We prepared for the day when you would grow arrogant enough to threaten human lives again. Dexfer's tactical officer was frantically analyzing the human ships. Admiral, he whispered urgently, these vessels ... Their energy signatures are impossible. Each one is outputting more power than our entire fleet combined. And those weapons? Sir, I can't even identify the technology. It's nothing in our databases. You will withdraw immediately, Chun continued. You will never enter human space again. You will inform your emperor that humanity has returned, and we are not the victims you remember. We are the species you created when you tried to exterminate us. Dexfer felt his pride surge. The Krell Empire had never retreated. Never. You dare threaten me? I command 50 battle cruisers, each one capable of glassing a planet. I have served the Empire for 3 centuries. I will not be intimidated by descendants of primitives. So be it. Chun's voice went flat. Captain Morrison, select 3 targets. Demonstrate our capabilities. On the tactical display, 3 of the nearest Krell battlecruisers were highlighted. Dexfer opened his mouth to order evasive maneuvers, to return fire, to do something light erupted, but it wasn't the plasma bolts or nuclear missiles of conventional warfare. The human destroyer that had been positioned nearest to the marked ships simply ... fired. There was no visible beam, no projectile, no warning. Space itself seemed to fold around the 3 Krell battlecruisers, and they ceased to exist, not exploded, not disabled. They simply weren't there anymore. 2,000 Krell warriors, gone in an instant, erased from reality so completely that sensors couldn't even detect debris. Singularity lenses, Chun explained with clinical precision. They create microscopic black holes at the target location. The gravitational shear tears apart matter at the molecular level before the singularity evaporates. Death is instantaneous. There is no defense. Dexfer stared at the empty space where his ships had been. His hands trembled. In 300 years of military service, he had never felt fear. Now it coursed through him like ice water. This is impossible, he breathed. No, Admiral. This is humanity. This is what happens when you don't finish the genocide. This is what we became in the dark. Chun's expression hardened. Now you have a choice. Order your fleet to withdraw, or I will demonstrate what happens when we deploy our full arsenal. You have 60 seconds. Dexfer looked at his tactical display. 47 battlecruisers remaining. Against 200 human warships that could erase matter from existence. The mathematics were brutal. The conclusion unavoidable, But he was Krell. He was the apex predator of the galaxy. He would not flee from resurrected prey. "All ships," he commanded, his voice steady despite the terror clawing at his hearts. "Battle formation. Concentrate all fire on the human flagship. If we're going to die, we die like Krell warriors. We take their commander with us." His fleet moved to obey. Weapon systems powered up. Nuclear warheads armed dot on the view screen. Admiral Chun's expression didn't change. But Dexfer thought he saw something in her eyes. Not anger, not fear, satisfaction. As if he had given her exactly the response she wanted. "All ships," Chun said quietly to her fleet, "weapons free. Show them what humanity learned in the dark." The human warships opened fire, and Dexfer realized with horrifying clarity that he had just made the last mistake the Krell Empire would ever forgive. Empires fall. Earth's rise. The Battle of Sanctuary 7 lasted 17 minutes. To call it a battle was perhaps generous. It was an execution, precise and methodical, carried out with technology that defied every principle of warfare the Krell Empire had perfected over 10 millennia. Admiral Dexfer watched his fleet die around him and understood with terrible clarity that the galaxy had changed forever. The Singularity Lances were merely the beginning. Human rail cannons fired projectiles at percentages of light speed that shattered Krell shields like glass. Plasma disruptors superheated ship hulls until they exploded from within. And worst of all were the ghost missiles, weapons that phased in and out of normal space, passing through shields and armor as if they weren't there, detonating inside ship cores with surgical precision. The Worldbreaker shuddered as another volley struck its starboard side. Fires raged across 3 decks. Casualty reports scrolled past too fast to read. Of the 47 battle cruisers that had begun the engagement, only 12 remained, and all were crippled. "All power to forward shields," Dexfer commanded, knowing it was futile. "Concentrate fire on Admiral." His communications officer shouted over the chaos. "We're being hailed. It's Admiral Chun." The view screen activated unbidden, and there she was, Sarah Chun, standing calm and composed while Dexfer's bridge burned around him. She looked at him with something that might have been pity. "This is pointless, Admiral," she said. "Your weapons can't penetrate our shields. Your tactics are 3 centuries outdated. I'm giving you one final chance. Surrender, and your surviving crews will be treated according to interstellar law. Continue fighting, and none of you will leave this system." Dexfer coughed, tasting blood. His scales were blackened from burns, but his pride remained intact. "I am Krell," he rasped. "We do not surrender." "I know," Chun replied softly. "Your dossier predicted this response. You've never retreated in 300 years of service. That's why I chose your fleet for this demonstration." She paused. "Admiral, this wasn't just about stopping you. This was about sending a message. The galaxy needs to know that humanity has returned. They need to understand what we've become. Ben, this was always..." Dexfer's eyes widened. "We were bait. You were a lesson," Chun corrected. "And your final act will be to deliver that lesson to your empire." She nodded to someone off-screen. Suddenly, every warning klaxon on the Worldbreaker screamed simultaneously. Dexfer looked at his tactical display and saw it a massive energy buildup from the human flagship, not targeting his ship, but creating some kind of field around it. "What are you doing?" he demanded. "Ensuring you survive long enough to warn them," Chun said. "Your ship is now encased in a stasis field. You can't move, can't fire, but you also can't be destroyed. You're going to watch what happens next, Admiral. And then you're going to limp home and tell your Emperor exactly what you saw." The view screen changed, showing a wider tactical view. The remaining 11 Krell battlecruisers were still fighting desperately. Chun's voice came through the speakers, now addressing her own fleet. All ships, final demonstration. Weapons pattern Omega. Show them the future. What happened next would haunt Dexver's nightmares for the rest of his life. The human fleet synchronized their fire. Not singularity lances this time, but something worse. Beams of pure coherent energy, not plasma, not lasers, but weaponized exotic matter that Chun's tactical officer called quantum disruptors. They struck all 11 battlecruisers simultaneously. The ships didn't explode. They simply unmade themselves. Matter converted directly to energy in cascading reactions that lit up the space around Sanctuary 7 like a newborn star. In 3 seconds, 11 battlecruisers and their 6,000 crew members ceased to exist, transformed into rapidly expanding clouds of plasma and radiation. Then silence. Only the Worldbreaker remained, frozen in its stasis field, utterly alone. "Release him," Chun ordered. The field collapsed. The Worldbreaker listed badly, life support failing, but it was intact. Dexver slumped in his command chair, staring at the empty space where his fleet had been. "Go home, Admiral." Chun's voice echoed through his dying ship. "Tell them humanity remembers. Tell them we're coming." The news reached the Krell homeworld 3 days later. Emperor Krellzoff the Eternal, ruler of the Krell Empire for 600 years, received Admiral Dexver's transmission in his throne room. The assembled High Council watched in silence as the holographic recording played. "Your Majesty," Dexver's image spoke, his voice hollow with trauma. "Humanity lives. They have returned with weapons beyond our understanding. My fleet of 50 battlecruisers, destroyed in minutes. Only the Worldbreaker survived, and only because they allowed it. They wanted us to bring you this message. Earth's children have not forgotten." The recording ended. The throne room remained silent for a long moment. "Impossible," High Admiral Vextar finally said. "The humans are extinct. This must be some kind of trick. Perhaps the Voxstar are using captured technology. Or, it's not a trick," the Emperor interrupted, his voice cold. "I was there, Vextar. 300 years ago, when we burned their worlds. I remember the human admiral who commanded Earth's last defense fleet. I remember her final transmission before her flagship exploded." He paused. "Her name was Chun, Admiral Elizabeth Chun. Sarah Chun is her great-great-granddaughter," the Emperor's intelligence advisor supplied quietly. "We've confirmed it. The humans didn't just survive, they planned this. Generational planning spanning 3 centuries. The Emperor stood, his massive form towering over the assembled council. "How many ships do we have available for immediate deployment?" "The Grand Fleet, Your Majesty. 2,000 warships, including 300 dreadnoughts. The finest armada ever assembled. Mobilize them. All of them. We will crush this human resurgence before it begins. We will finish what we started 300 years ago." "Your Majesty," the intelligence advisor said hesitantly, "perhaps we should consider..." "Consider what? Diplomacy? With prey that refuses to stay dead?" The Emperor's scales flushed crimson with rage. "The Krell Empire has never negotiated with inferiors. We will show these resurrected humans why we rule the galaxy. Prepare the fleet. We strike at the human homeworld, wherever they're hiding it." What the Emperor didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Admiral Chun wanted exactly this response. Had counted on it. 14 days later, the Krell Grand Fleet arrived at the coordinates their intelligence had identified as the edge of human space. Admiral Vexver, demoted but kept alive to serve as a tactical advisor, stood on the bridge of the Emperor's command ship and felt his dread deepen. The human defensive fleet was waiting. 300 warships, arranged in a formation that Dexver's tactical instincts screened, was wrong, too dispersed, too exposed. It looked like a trap. It was a trap. Your Majesty, Thexver said urgently, we should not engage. This is silence, the Emperor commanded. We outnumber them 7-1. We will annihilate them, then proceed to glass every human world until none remain. The fleets closed. Thexver watched the tactical display with mounting horror. The human ships weren't maneuvering defensively. They were waiting, as if 2,000 Krell warships posed no threat at all. Then space behind the human fleet rippled. Something emerged from fold space. Not a ship. Something far larger. It was a fortress. No a mobile battle station. No something even more massive. The sensors couldn't accurately measure it because the readings kept returning impossible values. 10 kilometers across. 20, 50, 100. What in the void is that? The Emperor breathed. A transmission came through. Admiral Chun's face appeared, but this time she was standing in what looked like a command center the size of a city. Thousands of crew members worked at stations that stretched into the distance. Emperor Kralzoth, she said formally, welcome to Terra's Gate. The fortress you're looking at is called Bastion Prime. It's our answer to the question, what happens when humanity has 300 years to prepare? It's a mobile weapons platform constructed from a hollowed-out moon. It contains 17,000 weapon systems, shields that can withstand a supernova, and the industrial capacity to produce a new warship every 6 hours. She smiled, and it was terrifying. But that's not why I wanted you here, Emperor. I wanted you here for this. The view changed. The transmission was now showing a feed from deep space probes. And Thexver's heart stopped. There, hanging in space behind Bastion Prime, was a world. Blue and green, wrapped in white clouds, achingly beautiful. And unmistakable. Earth, Chun said quietly. You thought you destroyed her. You glassed the continents, oiled the oceans, burned the atmosphere. It took us 200 years to heal her, but she lives. And she's defended by a network of fortresses that makes Bastion Prime look like a scout ship. Impossible, the Emperor whispered. We confirmed Earth's destruction. You destroyed a planet, Chun interrupted. But planets can heal, Emperor, when protected by people who refuse to let them die. Now you have a choice. You can attack, and your grand fleet will die just like Admiral Thexver's fleet died. Or you can listen. The Emperor's scaled fists clenched. You dare. Or, Chun continued, her voice hardening, you can accept the terms I'm about to offer. Unconditional peace. Immediate withdrawal from all disputed territories. Recognition of human sovereignty. And reparations for the 300 billion lives your empire destroyed. Never. The Emperor roared. The Krell Empire does not surrender to Bastion. Prime fired a single weapon. A beam of energy, so massive, it looked like a solar flare reached out and touched one of the Krell dreadnoughts. The ship, designed to withstand nuclear bombardment, simply vaporized. 2,000 crew members, gone in an eye blink. That was 1% power from one weapon system, Chun said flatly. I have 16,999 more. I can destroy your entire fleet before you get within firing range. But I don't want to, Emperor. Humanity spent 3 centuries preparing for war. But we learned something important in that darkness. Genocide accomplishes nothing but breeding more genocide. She leaned forward, and Thexver saw the weight of 300 years of preparation in her eyes. We're not asking for your surrender, Emperor. We're offering you a choice. Evolve or die. The galaxy is changing. Humanity has returned, and we're not alone. 7 other species contacted us during our exile. Species that also hid from your empire. Together, we represent a new power block. The age of Krell dominance is over. The throne room was silent. Every eye was on the Emperor. Dexfer held his breath. Finally, the Emperor spoke, his voice barely controlled. "If I refuse, then we demonstrate why humanity survived when you tried to exterminate us." Chun's expression didn't change. "We're survivors, Emperor. We're adaptable. We're patient. And we never, ever forget. Your empire has ruled for 10,000 years. We can wait another 10,000 for you to collapse. Or you can accept peace now, and perhaps your species has a future in the galaxy that's coming." Minutes passed. The Grand Fleet hung in space, weapons ready but impotent. Bastion Prime loomed like a sword of Damocles, one weapon system among thousands still glowing from its demonstration shot. Emperor Krelzoth closed his eyes. When he opened them, something had changed in his expression. Not defeat the Krell were incapable of that, but recognition. Acceptance of a new reality. "We will discuss your terms," he said, each word seeming to physically pain him. Admiral Chun nodded. "A wise decision, Your Majesty. For what it's worth, humanity doesn't seek vengeance. We seek coexistence. But on our terms, not yours." The transmission ended. Exfer slumped against his console, feeling 300 years of certainty crumble around him. The Krell Empire had ruled unchallenged for 10 millennia. They had believed themselves invincible. That belief had died today, here at Terra's gate. Staring at the impossibly restored Earth and the species that refused to remain extinct dot in a tactical display, he could see Earth rotating slowly, blue and alive, surrounded by its fortress network. A memorial and a promise. A graveyard that had become a cradle. The age of Krell dominance was over. The age of humanity had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Asterisk